Hello, traders. FS Collector here. Today is Wednesday, so happy hump day, halfway through the week already. And it is October 22nd. So, hello, how is everybody doing today? I always like to start off my live streams by looking at the US dollar analysis. I do much prefer to look at the FXCM US dollar analysis over the DXY just because the FXCM is equally weighted. The DXY is actually 57% weighted to the euro dollar, so it's a pretty much exactly the same thing as the euro dollar, but in reverse. So I do find that the US dollar index actually gives you a more accurate analysis of where all the dollar pairs are potentially going to do. If you are trading basically just the euro dollar, like if the euro dollar is your main pair, that's the one you're trading, then yeah, probably the DXY is a better one for you to be looking at. But anyways, I always like to start off by looking at the US dollar analysis because for me personally, I spend the majority of my time analyzing the dollar index, and then I apply that information to all six of these major dollar pairs. I don't include the dollar yen in that because the dollar yen is often more of a yen pair than a dollar pair. And I don't include gold in that because gold does whatever gold wants to do. Definitely doesn't correlate with the dollar as well as the other six US dollar pairs do. So, anyways, I'm going to start off by looking at the US dollar index, but the main purpose of this is definitely to take requests. So, if anybody has something they would like me to look at, definitely let me know. I try to keep up with all the pairs on this list right here, which includes basically all the major forex pairs: gold, silver, S&P 500, Nasdaq, Bitcoin, oil, and the JPY basket. I try to keep up with all these pairs, but I will look at basically anything. I can look at the stocks, indices, cryptocurrency, basically anything. But like I said, I always like to start off with the U.S. dollar index because that is definitely the main analysis for me. Um, I a few people in my group have a little bit of a different count than I do on this, but honestly, I don't really think the count matters that much. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are saying that this right here is the wave five, which I definitely would agree with if it wasn't for the fact that this was one, two, three waves down right here. Now, anybody that studies Elliott wave has probably heard of the harmonic Elliott wave theory, which is a little bit different than the traditional Elliott wave theory. According to the harmonic Elliott wave theory, a wave one, a wave three, and a wave five in an impulsive move should play out as three waves. So the fact that this is three waves right here, if you studied a harmonic Elliott wave theory, then you could say, oh, that's a wave five right there, and I definitely wouldn't disagree with you. And you would potentially would have three waves there for the wave three, and maybe this is supposed to be a three waves for wave one. So I wouldn't disagree with you that maybe this right here really is the wave five. The only reason I don't have it labeled like that is because I could definitely see one, two, three, four, five here. I definitely see one, two, three, four, five here. And I definitely know that there's a five wave impulsive move right there on a little bit of a sort of time frame. And then from this point forward, it is all three wave patterns. It's three waves up, three waves down, three waves up, three waves down. So for me, starting right here on is all corrective. I think the impulsive move ended right here. And I also think this is potentially a wave A of wave Y. Now, when it comes to the weekly time frame and this potential WXY analysis that I have, I think that the DXY is actually a little bit better, just because it seems a little bit clearer that that is potentially what it is, because you have one, two, three waves down for W on the weekly, one, two, three waves up for X on the weekly. I think this is one, two, three waves down for a wave Y on the weekly. So right now, I personally think that the dollar is going to stay bullish for potentially the rest of the year. I'm kind of hoping that it potentially stays bullish for even maybe part of next year also. But I think this is potentially an A, a B, and a C of wave Y that we're currently in right now. I would expect this wave B on the DXY to at least go back up to the 102 area. It might even go back up towards like the 105 area. So I'm thinking there's a very good likelihood that the dollar is going to stay bullish overall for probably a pretty significant amount of time, definitely. So, anyways, going back to the U.S. dollar index and on the daily time frame, there is definitely some subtle differences between like the two different analysis that. So, anyways, just give me one second here. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So the only difference is a lot of people are calling this potentially an A right here. This is potentially a B, and this is a C, and we're in like a flat pattern, which I totally agree with. But I also think there's a chance that this is a WXYXZ pattern. And the reason why I say it potentially could be a WXYXZ pattern is because a WXYXZ should always play out in three ways, three ways, three ways, three ways, three ways. So it potentially should be three ways up, three ways down, three ways up, three ways down, three ways up. So that is potentially what I'm looking at here. And I don't really care whether it's a WXY or whether it's something else because what would a flat do? A flat would potentially go up to here, or potentially maybe here or here, and then turn back down. What would a WXYXZ pattern do? It potentially would either go up here, maybe up here, then turn back down. So it really doesn't um, matter that much whether it is a flat or not. So, anyways, I'm definitely still very bullish on the US dollar. And that means that I take this information and I apply it to all the US dollar pairs themselves, like all six of these pairs. So definitely looking at that as a potential outlook for that. So, anyways, let's see here. So I'm kind of wondering though, because the dollar is turning down pretty hard right now, isn't it? But before I started my live stream, I noticed that the dollar is turning down pretty hard right here. We do have what looks like a potential five-wave structure right here too. So I'm still kind of debating whether this is actually going to make another leg down before it actually makes a leg up. What if this is like a wave A right here? This is potentially like a wave B, and now this is going to turn down for a wave C, and then maybe it's just a pullback to this move up right here. So that's one outlook that I was looking at. Another outlook that I was potentially looking at um, is that this is just a trend that's not over because if it breaks structure, then yeah, it's probably going to make a pretty nice wave to the downside. If it doesn't break structure to the downside, then it could end up making another higher low and pushing back up. So we're going to have to take this information and apply it to the dollar pairs and see if we can figure out what the potential outcome of that is going to be. So, anyways, I definitely still bullish the dollar. We made a nice higher low at the 50%. On the daily time frame, it would kind of make me think that it would just keep on going up. I think it would potentially go up and take out this high and maybe even this high. So for now, I'm definitely still very bullish the dollar. Like I said, if anybody has any requests, put them in the chats. I'd be more than happy to look at basically anything. Usually, I just start off with the dollar analysis, so that way it gives people a chance to join up. So if anybody wants me to look at anything, definitely put in the chats. But if I'm bullish the dollar, then I would have to apply that information to all six of the dollar pairs, except for gold. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are gold traders. There's a ton of gold traders. I have never been a gold trader because I'm from America, and from America, you cannot trade gold. I'm an American, so as an American, you cannot trade gold on a forex broker on a margin account. So I never traded gold, so I was never really into it. But boy, gold definitely did make a really nice turn. Hey, Rocky, how's it going? Him and you? Clarity tools for anxious minds. I'm not really. Oh, is that your name now? Is that your YouTube name? Or is that something you said? That must be your YouTube name. Anyways, yeah, yeah, gold. I definitely think it's the wave. Well, I think the wave three is over, but whether this big wave three is over or not is the question. Menu's in the group. Maybe he might know too, but I still potentially don't see any proof that this big wave three on the weekly time frame is over, the monthly time frame is over. But it definitely did turn at the 261.8. Normally when a wave three goes beyond the 161, your next big levels to keep an eye out for a wave three is like the 261, 278, or sometimes potentially the 361, 378. But this is definitely a level where I would think that a wave three definitely could end. And if it really is the end of a wave three, it potentially could make a big giant, big giant wave four. The problem I'm having is that the daily time frame looks like it needs to make a wave four to the trend that started right here. I mean, it seems extremely clear that this is a wave one, a wave two, and this is all just one big old giant wave three. And then maybe this is like a wave four, and then it potentially could go back up for a wave five. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely turned. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely a significant turn. We definitely have some breaks of structure on like the 4 hour time frame. I mean, this one's a little tricky too because that is a little bit of a lower high right there too, isn't it? Let's see, how do I do that? It is a little bit of a lower high. Or is it a double top? Let's see. That high right there is 337. That high is 33. So it is a little bit of a higher high. So yeah, it is a little bit of a higher high. Daily time frame definitely has a broken structure. But the 4 hour time frame definitely has, and the 8 hour time frame definitely has. And when I'm trying to figure out how to tune the frequency of this wave three, like if we want to know whether this wave from here to here is definitely over, then we need to try to figure out what time frame it is making the most smoothest cycle that we can possibly find. And I think probably the 8 hour time frame is pretty close to the best time frame to tell us that this trend from here to here is over. And we definitely do have a break of structure on the 8 hour. So I definitely think that the trend from here to here is over. Most likely, we are making a pullback to the whole wave three. Now, Elliott wave talks a lot about alternating waves, and especially between like a wave two and a potential wave four, there's alternating waves. And this wave one right here is very shallow and it's very traditional. It's a very traditional looking pullback. I guess it did go to 50% of wave one, but it's not a very deep, it's not a very dramatic pullback right here. And it's also a very traditional looking ABC. I mean, it might be a little bit of a running in there, but for the wave B, but overall, that's a pretty traditional looking ABC right there. So according to the Elliott wave theory, on alternating waves, if you have a wave two that is not that aggressive, like it didn't go that deep into the wave one, then the wave four is often going to be a very aggressive pullback. And also, if the wave two is a traditional ABC pattern, then most of the time your wave four is going to be some sort of a complex pattern. And according to Elliott wave, a complex correction is usually like a flat or a WXY or like a WXYXZ pattern. But I definitely think we're in a wave A, and I would call it a wave A of wave four. And I kind of feel like the wave A might be very close to being over. I thought the wave A was potentially over already this morning when I made my morning video because technically the 1 hour time frame was looking like a nice five-way pattern, and it definitely did break structure on the 1 hour, but then it just pushed all the way back down. So kind of a weird. I was kind of wondering originally if I was like, oh, well, what if this is like a wave one, wave two, and this is the wave three, wave four, wave five? But either way, I think that the wave A potentially could be very close to being over. So if the wave A ends, which we would have to see a break of structure up, then the next move would be a correction to the wave A, like a wave B. Or if this is going to turn into a complex pattern, it could end up making. We have to remember that this is going to potentially last around the same time as this wave two right here too. So it's not like this thing is probably going to shoot right back up anytime real soon. The wave two lasted someplace between 12 and 14 calendar days, right? Yeah, calendar days. So we would expect this wave four to potentially last 12 to 14 calendar days. So 12 to 14 calendar days. Yeah, 6 to 8 hour time frame too. Sorry about that menu. I don't know why. I guess if it thinks you're spamming, it'll block your messages. But that would potentially put us out until the end of October and the beginning of November. So the next thing you would want to do, you would look at the news calendar and you'd say, is there something very important happening at the end of October, the beginning of November? I know we got CPI inflation data coming out next week, which is on the not CPI, but interest rate. Yeah, federal funds interest rate right here. Look at that. So on October 29th, which is pretty close to the end of the month, right? It's only 31 days in October. So October 29th, we got interest rate news. That could definitely be the catalyst that makes it turn. Oh wow, we got a lot of news. We got JPY interest rate too. Oh wow. Is there anything at the beginning of the month? There's a bunch of Aussie news. Non-farm payroll is still tentative. Hmm. I'm really kind of curious if CPI is even going to come out this week. It says it's coming out. They must already know the numbers. That's why it's potentially coming out. Unfortunately, I believe that the New York session has been kind of screwy lately because there has not been any data for coming out of the U.S. There really hasn't been any data coming out of the U.S. lately. So the New York session, in my eyes, has had a major lack of liquidity over the last couple of weeks, big time. I've been pretty light on my trading over the last couple of weeks. Plus, I have some family things going on too. So, been very, very light on my trading over these last couple of weeks just because of that stupid thing. But I would expect this to probably do something. Like I said, we're probably going to go out until at least the end of the month. Maybe the best thing to do would be like this. This is what my old mentor used to teach us. Is he would come out with a range about when this potentially could end, and then he would put a line on the chart, and he would say, okay, well this pattern should potentially last at least until right around this line right here. And then you could start asking yourself, okay, between now and this line over here, what kind of a pattern could we potentially make between here and here? We think that maybe the wave A is almost over, so that could be something like that. Maybe it is just going to be a traditional ABC. Maybe it's just going to be like something like that, and then something like this, and then at the end of the month, maybe the 38 or the 50% will cause the push up again for the wave 5, because I would really expect to see one more push up. So, anyways, yeah, I would definitely expect to see another push up. I would expect. Hmm. Just like to look at the news calendar one more time. I just want to see what is happening over the next few weeks. But yeah, anyways, I would expect gold to be in a wave 4. Even though it's an extremely aggressive turn, I still think it's a wave 4. There's a chance that there's a hidden wave 4 in here already, but I really don't think that's the case. I think we're starting a wave 4. I think it's just in a very aggressive wave 4 because this wave 2 was not aggressive at all. And the alternating wave theory makes sense for this to be a more aggressive pullback for the wave 4. Honestly, what Yenberry would do on something like this too is throw the base channel out there. Oftentimes, the base channel will tell you where the wave 4 will end, but oh boy, that's a pretty deep base channel. I don't think it's going to go that far. A lot of the times, the base channel from the wave 1, wave 2 will give you the projection for the wave 4, which actually would put us all the way down to the 61% Fibonacci retracement, which I guess is definitely possible, but that would be a pretty aggressive wave 4 if it went down that far, that's for sure. I don't know. I don't know if I would trust that that is going to go that far down, but at some point, I think it's going to make a crescent to the move down, probably a wave B. Anyways, let me check and see if anybody else has any requests. Like I said, if anybody has any requests, definitely throw them in the chats. Hey, Sergi, how's it going? Yeah, let's check out oil. I was half tempted to get in oil as a big swing trade, but I just don't know. I don't follow it close enough, but it's not really doing what I thought it was going to do anyway. So I guess it's probably a good thing I didn't get in. I thought for sure that was going to be a crescent right there. Even now, it still looks like a crescent. Hmm. Looks a little deep to be a crescent now, doesn't it? I wonder if it's supposed to be like a running. Like this is all like a channel right here, like a running crescent for the wave B, and this is the wave A, and maybe it's just going to keep going down for the wave C. That's very odd because it definitely looked extremely corrective, but boy, it just kept on going. Normally, when you go this much beyond the 78%, normally it will go down and take out the previous lows. So I would expect this move up right here to probably be a pullback to the last move down on the daily. I don't really think it's an ABC anymore. It looks like it must be a wave 3. Like I said, I don't follow this pair on a day-to-day basis. And I was my original plan was to try to get long and try to trade this thing up to $100 a barrel, but which I guess it still could be. I mean, we do have sometimes you do get wave twos that go down to 90% or 105%, even though that's supposed to be a golden rule that never gets broken in the Elliott wave world. But that's one of the problems I think with Elliott wave is once people learn Elliott wave, they get stuck on the rules because there is a lot of rules that the market's not supposed to do. Unfortunately, the market doesn't give a crap about Elliott wave rules sometimes, especially nowadays, I feel like. So the 90% sometimes can be a target for a wave 2 or a wave B, and the 105% can sometimes be a target for a wave 2 or a wave B. So yeah, definitely could see something going on there for sure. I would have to look at this as a pullback right now, though. I don't really. I would still be looking for sorts. I definitely would still be looking for sorts. I don't think it's over. I think it needs to go down some more. Kind of confusing. I feel like I would have to spend some time on this to really figure it out. Is the UK oil look any different? Does that give you any clues? Sometimes the UK oil can be a little bit. Oh wow, that does look like an ABC on this one. Hmm, such a weird looking pattern. I mean, on the UK oil, even though it's almost the same as the US oil, it actually does look like a potential ABC right here. I wonder if this is a running too. Yeah, especially nowadays when you market doesn't give a crap about Elliott wave rules. That's the big problem with Elliott wave, in my eyes, is there is a ton of rules. I actually just posted some, which I was kind of apprehensive about even doing it, but I actually posted in the group recently some of the rules about Elliott wave in the educational tab, but I really didn't even want to post it because honestly, the market doesn't really give a crap about those rules a lot of times. The market does whatever the hell the market wants to do more times than not. I think when it comes to Elliott wave, the best thing for you to do is read and study Elliott wave until you get very familiar with it. And then once you get very familiar with it, take half of what you learned and throw it in the trash. And just when you see an Elliott wave pattern, recognize it and believe it. But otherwise, this market structure and stuff like that is probably better. Boy, this does look like a potential wave too. I still think there's a chance this is going to go up to $100 a barrel or 100. This is the UK oil, so it might be different on this one. Maybe this is 100 pounds a barrel. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if the UK oil is measured in pounds. It probably is, isn't it? Anyways, yeah, I would be looking for evidence of a break now that I looked at this one. Honestly, if it does break structure on like the 4 hour time frame and then make a pullback, boy, I would get long right there. Worst case scenario, it goes up and makes a wave C and then breaks back down, and then you'll get out of your long with a little bit of profit and go short. Best case scenario, it starts taking off like a rocket and does something like that. Yeah, totally. We force our analysis on the market way more than we should. That's one habit that I've been trying to break this year because I am definitely the type of person who I like it when things make sense. I like to be able to put a label on everything. I like to be able to label every part of the market and put a label on all the charts and things like that. But that's a very limiting thing to do because the market doesn't give a crap about Elliott wave labels, any of that stuff sometimes. Let's see here. So it's a long on the US dollar CAD. I think there was a long on the. Oh, whoa, maybe not. Whoa, what happened? I was kind of wondering if the dollar was going to push up one more, down one more time, but looks like we might be getting a break on the sort of time frames. I'm wondering if this is like a wave A, and now we're potentially going to go down and make a wave B. But if this goes down and makes a wave B, then the dollar would have to go down again also, and then potentially up for a wave C, and then this is your ABC of two or ABC of B. It looked like there actually was a long today on US dollar CAD. I definitely would have taken this trade. 78% fib bounce, nice and golfing move to the upside. I definitely would have taken that trade, and I probably wouldn't have exited right there on that inside candle. I probably would have just left it running, and then I would have came back later to a break-even trade because it would have just taken right off. So good thing I didn't go long there. I probably would have just got out break even. It's breaking structure. I think we are gonna have to start looking for sorts on this one. It's not breaking structure yet, but it definitely looks like it's gonna break structure or it wants to break structure. I think we're gonna have to become bearish on this one. I'd like to call this a potential 5 waves of A, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of A. But even that's kind of a messy pattern. I guess the dollar cat does make some messy patterns sometimes, though. Hmm. So, anyways, US dollar cat, pound dollar. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? Ah, man, the dollar is pulling back, isn't it? Pretty hard this afternoon. What's going on? There really wasn't any dollar news today. Hmm. Was it Trump something that Trump was doing this afternoon? I always keep an eye on Trump's schedule, but I didn't check it this morning. Let's see. Today, Trump had a couple things going on. Let me put this down here. Let's see. He had in-town poll call. President announced a meeting with Secretary General of North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Not really anything going on. Seems like they would be trying to work out this stupid government bullcrap that we're currently dealing with, but apparently they don't really care. A lot of people are saying that they're purposely keeping the government shut down until after interest rate news comes out, which honestly, I kind of think that they're probably right because interest rate news comes out at the end of the month, right? And if some of these numbers that are supposed to be coming out are really bad, like unemployment numbers and non-farm payroll numbers, and some of the numbers that have not been coming out these last couple of weeks because of the government shutdown are potentially really bad, then the Feds would probably not lower interest rates again next on October 29th. No, they are forecasting that they're going to lower another 25 points, though, down to 4. That's good. But there's a lot of people saying that they're keeping the government shut down on purpose, just so that way they don't see that the U.S. economy is not as good as people think it is. Which probably, honestly, I kind of agree with them. They probably are doing it on purpose. The market has been kind of sideways. Not really good for swing traders, that's for sure. I mean, to me, this still looks like it needs to go down. It still looks like a flat. I was kind of wondering if this was like a running ABC here that was just going to keep on going down, but it's turning up pretty hard today, isn't it? No break of structure though. 1 hour time frame definitely doesn't have a break of structure. I guess if it breaks structure to the upside, then maybe this is either an A or a 1, and this is either a B or a 2, and now we're going up for a 3 or a C. I guess it would definitely make sense for it to go up for a wave C if this is not a running ABC right here. Maybe it's going to go all the way back up to 78% and then turn down again, but yeah, maybe you're right, Rocky. It kind of depends where you start your wave 4 too, because if the wave 4 actually starts right here, which I kind of wonder if it does, because to me that kind of looks like 3 waves up. So what if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of A, and then we're going to start a wave B, and then we're going to make a wave C, and then maybe prior to the FOMC, we're going to go up, make a wave 5, and then reverse to the downside at FOMC like that. Because there's a pretty big difference between starting at wave 4 here and starting at wave 4 here, because this high right here is the 17th. This high right here is the 21st. So you're talking about 4 days difference. When you're looking for a 10 to 12 day pullback, depending on where you start your pullback, can be pretty important. That's the difference between like the end of the month and maybe next week sometime. At the end of next week, maybe is a what do we got at the end of next week? What is today? Next week is Halloween. Spooky markets next week. Oh, and it's daylight savings time for Europe, UK, and Switzerland. So keep in mind, starting next Sunday, there's only going to be 4 hours difference between London and New York instead of 5 hours different. That means that the stock market will open at 1:30 UK time instead of 2:30 UK time. So definitely pay attention to that. The US doesn't change their clocks for 2 weeks after the. Oh, actually, no, they do the second, so a week, I guess. I thought it was 2 weeks. Maybe in the spring it's 2 weeks. Man, the Aussie has been terrible too. Man, look at that thing. I don't know. I'm wondering if this is just a false move. The euro dollar looks like it's breaking structure, but on the 4 hour, but this move down is definitely a trend. I definitely can't call that a. I can't call that a pullback. That pretty much has to be a trend. I got my Halloween candy, even though here in Portugal they don't really celebrate Halloween much. I usually get maybe 4 or 5 kids, which is kind of cool though. But most people in Portugal don't celebrate Halloween. I don't know. Do they celebrate Halloween in Spain than you? I think Halloween is more of an American and maybe a British thing. 1 minute time frame on gold. Pretty damn impulsive. Oh, look at that. That is a beautiful ABC right there, Rocky. You're probably already long, aren't you? Damn, look at that thing. No, they do? Really? I don't wonder why Portugal doesn't celebrate Halloween. Spain does, huh? That is a beautiful ABC right there, man. Hopefully you and then you are both long on that thing. That's beautiful. Yeah, imported from US. I have a hard time even buying Halloween candy. I had to go to a grocery store that's quite a ways away from here just to buy Halloween candy because most places don't even have that. So, anyways, what is Halloween? It's the 31st, right? So it's Friday. Yeah. Definitely looks like the dollar's trying to turn back up, doesn't it? But I don't know. I think it's just going to be something like this on the euro dollar. On the pound dollar, maybe it'll go up and retest these highs for more of a proper ABC before it goes down again. Aussie, I like the euro and the pound are going up and the Aussie dollar is going down. Kiwi's going down too. Dollar CAD's down. Ooh, dollar Swiss is trying to break structure down. If that breaks and holds below structure, you can try to look for shorts on pullbacks after the break of structure. I think gold is going to start its wave B today or within the next day or so. If that's my guess. I bet it's going to go at least all the way up to here. I bet it's going to go to at least 46, 4260, 4260 at least. Maybe even higher. Let's see. Pound dollar. The pound dollar had a deep pullback on your broker. That's the only problem with forex is there definitely can be some discrepancies between brokers. That is definitely a problem with forex. I don't really think you get that problem quite so much with gold because gold is kind of a centralized thing, but depending on your broker, some of these highs can be different prices on different brokers, which can cause some problems because if you use Fibonacci retracement or Fibonacci extension, if your broker is 1.174 and my broker is like 1.176, then that's going to make different levels for different people. So it can be a problem, definitely. I am a big fan of Oanda because Oanda is actually one of the biggest forex brokers there is, but I use Oanda, the European version of Oanda. because they're a very, very big broker and they're very reliable. And plus, if you trade with them a lot, they'll give you a discount on the spreads. Orlando is definitely not great for scalpers, but if you trade a lot, they will give you a 30% discount. I got a last year around this time. I get a 30% discount on my spreads because they said I was a high frequency trader. So, which is good. And I think that if you trade even more than I do, you could potentially get even more higher discount. They'll give you even more of a discount on your spreads. We just spent quite a bit of time looking at gold. I think gold potentially could start to move up, to be honest with you. But this break of structure right here is what's going to help confirm that, I guess. But I think there's a good chance gold is going to go up again. I don't think it's going to make a new high, but you definitely can't rule it out because that is definitely a kind of a three-way pattern right there. So don't be surprised if gold goes up and makes a brand new high. I watched a video the other day on YouTube because I'm not really much of an economic, I don't pay too much attention to economics or fundamentals. And I watched a video about why gold has been rallying so much lately, and it's because um, countries are buying gold like crazy right now because there's not a whole lot of trust in the dollar right now. So countries are stocking up on gold big, big, big time, even more than they have been over the next couple of years. So that's why gold has been rallying so much because there's been a lot of lots and lots and lots of countries buying lots and lots and lots of gold. Let's see here. Let's see. I might have missed some requests. If anybody has any requests, put them in the chats. DXY can go to 98. Yeah, let's check it out. I don't really analyze the DXY, but I do like the DXY a little bit better on the very high time frames. Oh, 98.6. So we're actually at 98 right now, pretty much. Yeah, yeah, you're probably right, Andrew, actually. 96, 98.6. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense to me. It definitely looks like a perfect 5 waves, doesn't it? Which makes you think that the next move down should be a crescent to this move up. I feel like it's not going to go down and take out the low. I think this is already an ABC. And this is like a wave one, and now we'll probably make it like a wave two, and then go up for a wave three. So I think I agree with I agree with Andrew or Andrea. Sorry, I suck at names. But I think I agree. Yeah, probably like 98.6 or 98.4, something like that. 98.5, someplace in that range. Something seems like it came out, didn't it? Just barely. Things are kind of moving a little bit. Is there something on here? 7 minutes ago, plan to restrict global production. I can't read that because they cut it off. That blurring the inflation outlook. Something right here about Trump administration. Oh, here we go. Trump administration considering plan to restrict global production exports to China made with containing U.S. software. Hmm, interesting. A lot going on right now. Trump is trying to make it also so that they don't have to rely on Taiwan for those little microchips anymore. Apparently, Normandy, I think it was Normandy, one of those Baltic countries, actually make the equipment that Thailand uses to make those chips, and Trump is trying to work out a deal with them so that they will stop making the chips instead of Taiwan. So that would probably be pretty good news. Plus, it would be pretty beneficial for Europe, I would imagine. Let's see. Yeah, I could take a look at the U.S. The Nasdaq for sure. I haven't been watching it much, but boy, I would be buying every dip on this thing still. Hmm. That really looks like a wave B, doesn't it? Is it just me? I wonder if this is supposed to be like the top of something, and this is like a wave A, and this is a, this is a B, and this is a C, and now we're going down for either a 3 or a C. Definitely looks like it. S&P 5. Oh wow, yeah, definitely looks like it. I think I would have to be pretty bearish on the stock market for the next few days, but definitely do not rule out the possibility of this is going down, grabbing liquidity down here, and then going back up again. Let's go back to this one. Let's put. Oh wow, it turned right at the 100% too. Kind of a double top, but didn't turn at the 105. Turned at the 100. Definitely looks like a way B to me. That's just a. Boy, the stock market is pretty nice, and it moves a lot. I've been debating whether I should start trading the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq again. I can trade both of them on my broker, but I just never really was into it. But trading the euro dollar has been kind of a nightmare because it's so ranging. This thing has been making some beautiful moves. And what the good thing about this is they often move within the first hour or two of market open every day. Like this big move down right here was at 3 o'clock, a half an hour after the U.S. stock market opened. It made a big old push down. And like I was talking to the people in my Zoom meeting the other day about how it might be really good in the morning to trade the UK 100 for the London session because this was 7 a.m. London time when this move up started. That was 7 o'clock London time. So during the morning London session, trade the UK 100 and trade the DAX. And then during the New York session, trade the S&P 500 and trade the and the Nasdaq. You could literally probably trade for a few hours in the morning, a few hours in the afternoon, and call it good. Yeah, well, I think that's what a lot of people are speculating about, isn't it? What's the forecast on Friday's news? What's the Forex Factory saying that it's going to be? Why is it showing data that I don't want to see? There we go. Friday CPI. They're saying inflation is going to be up a little bit. They're calling for 3.1% from 2.9. Probably pretty accurate. Month over month is equal and on both of the core CPI and regular CPI, but year over year, they're saying it's going to be up quite a bit. Definitely going to be a pretty big day. Inflation normally doesn't come out on Fridays either. Usually it comes out on like Wednesday. So I will be in a Zoom call because this is at 1:30 UK time. So during this time right here, I will be in a Zoom call with all my members. If anybody is interested in joining my website, it is only $30 a month, and we are a great team of traders in there. Check out my website for more information. There's a little video right here you can watch if you would like to learn more information about what is offered. It is definitely not a signal service, but I do share all my trades with the group that I take. Definitely not a signal service though. So the point is to learn and then share with other traders and bounce ideas off each other and work together as a team to figure out what some of these markets are doing. I spent pretty much my whole trading career in a group of my old mentors group, and I think it's extremely beneficial to have people to bounce ideas off of because nobody is right all the time, no matter how long you've been trading. And I don't know how many times I've seen somebody else post a chart in the chats, and I'm like, oh man, that chart is like so spot on, like exactly. And then I end up changing my analysis to their analysis because I was like, that is like so spot on. So, anyways, yeah, let's see here. CPI, let's see. I don't think I missed any requests. If anybody has any requests, definitely throw them in the chats. I'd be more than happy to look at anything. I'm always happy to challenge myself by looking at other stuff. Hmm. Yeah. So what's everybody watching? Let's see. Yeah, I know Yenberry isn't in here, but he was in the chat, so I want to see what this is looking like. I know he trades a living hell out of this thing. I still think this is going to keep going down. The Yo Aussie. It's either a wave A or wave one. It's either a ABC of B or an ABC of two. I think it's going to keep going down. I think we might be in like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern to the downside for a C, or maybe a much bigger move down if it's a wave C, a wave three, that is. I think we have a decent amount of downside potential. But hey, Lucas, how's it going? What's the question mark for? Do you have something you want me to look at for you? Boy, it's been a little bit sideways on the sort of time frames though. I bet there's a wave one in here someplace, like a one, like a two, and then down for a three or something. Probably a pretty damn good chance of it, huh? Yo, Kiwi hasn't broken structure, but it does look like it's ready. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I honestly haven't been trading much the last couple of weeks. A couple trades here and there, but a lot of family drama going on lately, and plus with the U.S. government being shut down, I just don't trust these markets to not be sideways. You don't really ever know when you're going to get in a trade, and then it just goes sideways all day long, and you just like nothing happens. But honestly, the stock market's been pretty good. This hasn't been sideways at all. I think trading the stock market might not be a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. About the pound Aussie. Yeah, this is where I'm getting some difficulties because the Euro Aussie and the pound Aussie are usually very, 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 very correlated. So if I think that the Euro Aussie is going to go down like this and then maybe back up, then I would expect to see the same thing on the pound Aussie. But I don't because the Euro has been so strong compared to the pound. On the pound Aussie, it looks like a complete pattern. It looks like a possible A, possible B, possible C. It looks like it could just keep on going up from here. And if I look at the very high time frames, I still think there's a chance this is going to go all the way up to these very high levels, like the 2.5 maybe even. But that's like a 2 year outlook, but still. These usually the Yo Aussie, Yo Kiwi, Pound Aussie, Pound Kiwi are so correlated that it's very, very easy to look at them and figure out what they're doing. Not very easy, but it's easier because they're correlated pairs. I also say a lot of the times that if you live in Europe, it might not be, or the UK, it might not be the best thing. But if you live in the US or you live in Asia, then I think the yen pairs should be some of your top traded pairs. Because the thing with the yen pairs is all seven of these are usually extremely correlated. They're different versions of the same pattern. Yeah, they're definitely a little different, but they're all very, 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 very similar patterns. And that should make it much easier to figure out what they're doing it on a given basis. I used to love trading the yen pairs when I lived in New Hampshire in the US because when I got home from work at like 5:30 at night, I could eat dinner, and then the Asian session would start, and then I could trade the Asian session till 10 o'clock and go to bed and call it a day. Yeah, I'll look at the euro dollar again. I'm having some difficulties, honestly, because the shorter time frames make me think one thing, longer time frames are making me think another thing. The shorter time frames look like they're trying to turn up, don't they? The longer time frames make me think that it's going to keep going down, so it's kind of a tricky pattern. Honestly, the daily time frame makes me think this is lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. I mean, maybe it does go up a little bit, but lower high, lower high. The daily time frame makes me think this is what's going to happen. But the problem is if this is really a wave C, then it should be impulsive, and it's really not that impulsive anymore. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could have an alternative. This would be a WXY, not an ABC. So you'd have three waves of A, five waves of A, three waves of B, and then down for a C. And this is a WXY, not an ABC. So I guess that would be my alternative count on this. Because I always like to try to come up with a bullish and a bearish count. My main account is that this is in a flat pattern, and a flat pattern should push down to maybe even the 161, 178. But we should try to come up with an analysis that is different than that. And if this goes up and does this, takes out this high, and then goes down, makes another five waves down like this, it would still be like an expanding crescent like this. But instead of being an ABC, it would be a flat. Yeah, Lucas, it's a tough one, buddy. To be honest with you, the monthly time frame is starting to make me think that I've been wrong about this expanding ABC that I've been talking about for a year. For you can literally watch my Euro Dollar videos from a year ago, and I've been talking about this expanding ABC, the Euro Dollar going all the way up to 1.34, 1.36. But that should be an impulsive move, and it's not really impulsive. It looks more like an ABC pullback to this impulsive move. We've been sitting at the 78% for 4 months now, at least. Kind of looks to me like it needs to turn down. It's a very tricky pattern for sure. And then when you get to the weekly time frame, this is a higher high right here, but then if you go down to the daily, it made a higher high in three waves. Like this is a higher high than this, but the higher high is three waves, which makes me think that it's definitely a wave B. So, or a wave X, I guess, of a WXY. To be honest with you, I kind of hope that I am wrong about my monthly time frame analysis. I kind of hope that the euro dollar goes all the way back down to parity because I get paid in dollars and I live in Europe, so it would be pretty beneficial for me to move some money to Europe. But that's a pretty long time frame outlook, that's for sure. Shorter time frames, it's definitely breaking structure. But the move down is five waves, so I'm really not convinced it's going up for more than anything besides a pullback to the downtrend. It would make sense if it made a pullback for a few days, but tricky, tricky, tricky for sure. This is why I've been trading pretty lately. I mean, I normally trade the euro dollar and the pound dollar as like my main pairs, and yeah, they've been going down, but look how choppy these patterns are. You can just tell that there's just very, very little liquidity coming out of New York right now. The New York session is definitely a lack of liquidity lately. The London session has been kind of where it's at. You normally what's been happening lately is you get a big move in the London or the Asian session, and then the New York session is like slow, and that's kind of what happened. Even though we had some good moves today on the euro dollar, the pound dollar, this is the New York session right here. Look how slow it is. There was a big move in London, and then slow New York, and now the end in New York started to make a decent move, but pretty slow going overall. Yeah, I'll take a look at silver, no problem. Wow, looks like it's about exhausted to move up, doesn't it? Looks like it wants to go down. It touched at 200% perfectly. And then if you go to the monthly, the 178% is also being respected really well. If silver is getting ready to make a bigger move down, then gold is probably going to make a bigger move down too, but at some point, because they are definitely pretty correlated. Definitely looks like that move up is over, doesn't it? Ugh, it's just like gold. On the daily time frame, there really isn't a break of structure. I mean, you can't really say there's a break of structure on the daily. On the 4 hour, you can definitely say there's a break of structure, but not on the daily. So luckily, The beauty with Elliott Wave is that you don't really always have to know the exact count to be profitable if you're good. Because the first counter trend move after a break of structure is either wave A or wave one. How do you trade a wave A or wave one? You look for shorts on sort of time frames. After the wave A or wave one is complete with a break of structure, the next move is a wave B or a wave two, which is a pullback to the wave A or the wave one. How would you trade a wave B? You would look for longs on sort of time frames. How would you trade a wave two? You would look for longs on sort of time frames. Then when it starts to make either a wave three or a wave C, that's when you need to start to try to figure this out because a wave C would probably just go down to like the 38%, break structure back up, and then continue up. If it's a wave three, then you would know it's a wave three because it would be freaking impulsive. It would never break structure. It would be very, very, very impulsive. So to me, the first push down definitely either an A or one. Looks to me like it potentially could go up and break structure and start a move to the upside for a wave B or wave two either today or tomorrow. And then maybe towards the end of the week or the beginning of next week, down for a big wave C. Definitely seems like that's the most likely outlook. Oh yeah, gold definitely looks like it's going to do that too. I think our next move is either a wave B or a wave two, which would be a pullback to the whole move down from here to here. So on the 1 hour time frame, you would probably want to get rid of these levels and probably this level. And you'd want to put your Fibonacci retracement on the whole move down. And you would want to look for three wave reversals. Obviously, you would want to see a break of structure, but it looks like it's trying to make a higher low, which is sometimes your first clue. You know, if you a higher low in a downtrend can be your first clue that it's going to go up and break structure, then make like a three-way pullback. Which, if that's the case, I would expect at least a 50 or 61%, maybe even 78. Probably more likely 61. Honestly, there's a lot of support, resistance right there. But 50% could be possible too for wave B or wave two. So first push up would probably give you the break of structure, wave A, and then you'd get a pullback, pass below structure, wave B, and then probably up for a wave C to either the 50 to 61% Fibonacci retracement. Seems pretty likely. So anyways, like I said, if anybody hasn't checked out my website, definitely do so. Looks like most people in the group have at least taken a look at it, so I definitely appreciate that. 19 votes, 79% of people have. It is a very, very cheap membership. I like to keep it cheap because I'm looking to get rich from my trading, not one of those scammy YouTubers like ICT trying to get rich from courses and stuff. So definitely check that out. Definitely make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I do these YouTube live streams every Wednesday. So definitely make sure you subscribe for that. Check out my website. And like I said, this Friday I will be in a live Zoom meeting with my members during the CPI inflation data. We're going to try to figure out what's going to happen for that together. Maybe we'll try to get in some trades together for that. But anyways, thank you for coming. As always, happy trading to everyone and good luck.